When Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs.
The freak-off, a term that has now not only become synonymous with Sean...
Hey, bro, I heard he switched cheese both of these, bro. Both of these dudes, Tupac and Biggie. I heard he knocked them off, bro. If that's so, bro. Hey, he needed to been stopped, bro. Good, bro, like, niggas get too much money, they start. God dang, John Wick and niggas.
Diddy Combs, but it is at the center of his federal sex crimes case. We're going to explain some of the major accusations and details surrounding the freak-offs and what this could mean for the indicted rapper. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. There is one term that has gone viral since the indictment of Sean Diddy Combs, more than anything else. You've heard it here on Sidebar, you've heard it amplified in the media. It is called a freak-off. This alleged sexual performance that is at the center of this criminal case facing the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs. And I'm going to go over some of the details of these freak-off sessions as laid out in the government's indictment and in their subsequent letters that they filed with the court when they argued against Combs' bail, which, by the way, was denied twice. Now, he's currently locked up in the Brooklyn Detention Center. Combs is facing charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, transportation to engage in prostitution. We've mentioned it before, but he could be looking at 15 years to life in prison. That's how serious these charges are. But the main theme here, the main allegation, is that Combs led a criminal enterprise. And the goal of this criminal enterprise, other than to operate a global media and entertainment...
Bro, Salt Bay, bro. Salt Bay in this, bro. Come on, bro. Don't tell me Salt Bay. The nigga that be putting the salt on y'all food, bro. Don't tell me you got a Salt Bay. No more steak, bro.
Business was to engage in the abuse of women, sex trafficking, forced labor, prostitution, the distribution of drugs, to use violence and threats, to commit crimes like kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, to carry out their goals, their missions, all the while making sure to satisfy the sexual desires of Sean Combs. And one of those desires, as alleged by the government, by prosecutors, and also alleged by several Combs accusers in separate civil lawsuits that they filed against him, were the commission of freak-offs. So with that in mind, now we're going to get into these shocking details surrounding these freak-offs. And I guess we should start with saying, what are freak-offs, right? Well, let's go to the indictment. It says, quote, Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as...
Bro, if you gotta lure people in, bro, just to get your little nut off, bro. You on some weird stuff already, bro. If you can't do that by your own personality and your own self, bro, you're a weirdo.
As, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, pleasured himself during, and often electronically recorded. Now, while this indictment...
It ain't even like he had to do this, bro. I mean, I'm pretty sure he has some girls, bro. Why is you Niggas just be doing stuff.
Down. I said at the time, this may be a term that is foreign to any person that was not familiar with Sean Combs, but for me, who's been following this whole saga for, what, a year now, I have heard this term multiple times because in the Cassandra Ventura lawsuit, Combs' ex-girlfriend, and Rodney Little Rod Jones lawsuit, this is Combs' former producer, they discussed the freak-offs in their sexual assault lawsuits. Now, Ventura alleged, among other things, that Combs would demand her participation in freak-offs and that she would have to be forced to hire the male sex workers and that this could happen at any random moment. Jones alleged, among other things, that Combs' son Justin Combs and DJ and record producer Stevie J would engage in freak-offs. Now, to be clear, those...
I ain't gonna lie, bro. He look like he be doing stuff. He look like he be participating in that stuff, boy. This nigga too. Long neck ass nigga. All these niggas do.
Specific allegations, those names, those details.
Yeah, I can even see. Hold on. I'm talking about this nigga. This nigga look like he be participating in my and this nigga.
Were not mentioned as part of the criminal case. I will tell you, though, that the idea of this freak-off, now that it is officially part of the criminal case, now that it's mentioned multiple times, this makes me wonder two things from a legal point of view. Number one, it is such a wild concept and a phraseology that it's hard to believe that this is something that was just made up by Combs' accusers. And when I say Combs' accusers, could that be Ventura? Yes. Could that be Jones? Yes. Perhaps the government got this information, this idea of the freak-offs originally from them. And by the way, when I say Combs' accusers, could be Ventura, could be Jones. Perhaps the government got this idea of the freak-offs from them originally, but we don't know. To be clear, we do not know for sure. We do not know who the accusers are. And even if it's not, why not start a claim and get the money? Easily start a claim at forthepeople.org for details of these freak-offs. So the indictment continues, quote, freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial sex.
Bro, how can you do this for multiple days, bro? How can you do this for multiple days, bro? Niggas don't get tired of having freak-offs, bro.
Workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances.
See, he ain't even have to work, bro. He ain't even have to do. He successful already. He was just bored, bro.
Substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. That is something. And the government would allege that these freak-offs, they have been happening since 2009. That those drugs consisted of ketamine, GHB, ecstasy. Now, in terms of the defense of consent, the defense could say, well, these people knowingly and voluntarily took drugs, but if it's true that Combs kept videos that these participants didn't know about, that could be problematic for him, especially since we learned the government may have the goods to back all of this up. In their bail letter to the judge, they write, quote, the evidence against the defendant, which would be made public at trial, includes substantial evidence that is highly sensitive and has the potential to significantly and negatively impact the defendant's reputation. For example, dozens of video recordings created by the defendant of freak-offs with victims. I mean, we wondered what was collected by federal authorities after they raided Combs' homes in LA and Miami back in March. There were reports that they collected digital evidence. In fact, further on in the government's letter, prosecutors write, quote, setting aside devices seized in connection with the defendant's arrest, the government has obtained over 90 cell phones, laptops.
90 cell phones, and I only got one? Fuck you need 90 cell phones for? What could you possibly do with 90 cell phones? Laptops, cloud storage accounts, 30 other electronic storage devices, such as hard drive, thumb drives, cameras, surveillance systems.
Cloud storage accounts, as well as over 30 other electronic and storage devices such as hard drives, thumb drives, cameras, and a surveillance system. The government also wrote, victim testimony regarding freak-offs is at times corroborated by other witness testimony, communications with the defendant and commercial sex workers, travel records, hotel records, videos of the freak-offs, and records reflecting or indicating payment. By the way, you're talking about evidence of freak-offs. Prosecutors revealed one other way that they can prove that these freak-off events happen, because in the government's bail letter, it states, the defendant arranged freak-offs with the assistance of members and associates of the enterprise, including employees of his business, and the hotel rooms where they were staged often sustained significant damages. So the prosecution's letter goes...
I'm gonna read this. I ain't gonna read it. Freak off. That's a crazy word to say. Freak off or what? During the bro recording and he beating and stuff while he recording, bro. So he recording two people having freak offs and he beating this stuff. Hey, bro, this nigga too freaky, bro.
The hotel rooms where they were staged often sustained significant damages. So the prosecution's letter goes on to state that, for example, in approximately 2012 in Manhattan, the defendant paid over $46,000 to cover damages to a penthouse hotel room.
Bro, messing up hotel rooms, paying $46,000 to fix it up.
Guard refused the defendant's bribe, and after coordination between the defendant and his employees, the defendant's staff contacted other members of hotel security. At the same time, staff members were in close communication with the victim of the assault as well, all in an effort to cover up the defendant's assault and to prevent the incident from being publicly disclosed. Within days of the incident, the surveillance video disappeared from the hotel's server. By the way, that brings me to another...
And he paying off hotels, boy. He probably paid them $5 million. $5 million to take that video off the record system. But I probably would have did the same thing, boy. Pay me $5 million. I'm taking everything out. You ain't got to worry about nothing.
Or experienced the defendant's abuse. Many of these witnesses corroborate one another, and their accounts are similarly consistent with the other types of evidence discussed below. The government only expects that number to continue to grow, given that the investigation, which is now public, is ongoing. And we did another sidebar on the potential that people will come forward or take deals to cooperate with the government. You can check it out on our Long Crime YouTube page. But if you thought that all of that wasn't shocking enough when it comes to the freak-offs, I want to leave you with one final allegation regarding these freak-offs. And this is something that prosecutors mentioned in their second letter regarding bail. So let's not forget, Combs was first denied bail by a magistrate judge. He appealed that decision to a district court judge, and that judge is supposed to review this with fresh eyes, doesn't have to provide necessarily deference to what this other judge did. So the government doubled down to show how much of a danger Sean Combs is, how he can't be trusted on the outside, how he needs to be detained pending trial. And in their second letter, they write, quote, indeed, since at least in or about January...
Yeah, he needs to be in jail and forever, too. But, so for the stream, make sure you go sub up to my YouTube, DailyJd. I gotta fix it right here, because That's wrong. That's wrong right there. If you're on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe. Well, go follow my Twitch, JD1K3. Yeah. I will be going. No, I won't be live. I don't think. I'll try to go live. If not, then it'll be a YouTube video.